Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 18th of November and we are going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. The first is the largest coral colony found in the Solomon Islands. Solomon Islands is in the western part of Pacific Oceans, part of Micronesia, and this colony was accidentally found by a team of National Geographic. Coincidentally, this team had to return the next day and had to go to their other sites for research, but a videographer came across this. This coral colony is so large that it is visible from the space, and it is 112 feet into 104 feet. This is the dimension. Corals are very important for the marine ecosystem as a lot of marine, you know, organisms depend upon corals for their food, for their shelter, and such like. Corals are also important from tourism point of view. So this is a substantial find. Second is the mates scheme. So India and Australia have come into this agreement with each other that the people from each of these countries will be going to each other's countries, especially in from India to Australia, for early employment. So the fact is that for 2 years, the people will be going from India to Australia and coming back after 2 years if the employer does not want to retain them. But yes, Indians will be preferred. This is basically what the mates scheme is all about. Next is the Swastik Initiative. The Swastik Initiative is basically an initiative of the CSIR, the Premier Research Agency of the Government of India. And what it is for, that all the traditional knowledge which is there existing, that has to be backed scientifically. Means there has to be scientific evidence which has to be proven for that particular traditional knowledge. Let's suppose we take tulsi when we have cold or cough. So tulsi, this is a traditional knowledge, but yes, what elements are there in tulsi, what chemicals are there in tulsi, or what kind of, I would say, ingredients are there in tulsi which helps relieve cough and cold, that has to be proven. That is what is going to happen in this Swastik initiative, which is obviously a very good initiative. And then we'll be dealing with the MCQs based on these three topics and discuss the answers to the MCQs of Saturday. Now, the first topic, that is the largest coral colony found in Solomon Islands. So first of all, this Solomon Islands is over here, western part of, I would say, Pacific Ocean, and this is basically there northeast of Australia. This is okay, east of Papua New Guinea, and there's a small island over here, Vanuatu, west of Vanuatu. It is so it is like this, and this coral colony, basically, National Geographic's Pristine Seas team made this discovery, and this was kind of an accidental discovery made by them. Now, why it matters? It matters because it shows the size and age of the coral colony while also highlighting how fragile coral reefs are, especially with the ongoing threat of climate change. This fragility is basically due to climate change, but what impact does this climate change have on the corals? The answer is simple, that it leads to coral bleaching. Now, what is coral bleaching? We will understand that, but yes, before that, we will understand what are corals. Then only we will be able to understand coral bleaching, and then only we will be able to understand that what is the importance of corals. So the first question, what are corals? Then we'll move on to what is coral bleaching. Then we'll be talking about this site which has been discovered. So corals are marine organisms. They are found in the oceans and seas only, from the phylum Nidaria, typically found in warm, shallow ocean waters. They are not found in deep ocean waters, first of all, shallow ocean waters. These fascinating creatures are colonial, means they exist in colonies, mass number they are existing in, meaning they live in groups and build massive underwater structures called coral reefs. So what they are made of? Coral polyps. Corals are made up of tiny individual animals known as polyps. A polyp has a simple structure, a mouth it has, surrounded by tentacles. They feed on the zooplankton. Zooplankton is the microbes or microorganisms in the oceans, small marine organisms, by capturing them with their tentacles. As simple as that. So coral polyps is one such part of coral reefs. Then these coral polyps are in symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic relationship simply means that give and take. These coral polyps give something, this and that something gives coral polyps something or the other. Now, these coral polyps are in, I would say, symbiotic relations with zooxanthellae. Don't get confused between zooxanthellae and zooplankton. Zooplankton is a microorganism which is there in the oceans on which the coral polyps feed, and zooplankton is, oh sorry, zooxanthellae is something else. It is a type of photosynthetic algae which is there in the, I would say, oceans. Now, this algae does photosynthesis. This algae, first of all, is there in the corals, coral polyps. It hides itself. Because see, this zooxanthellae is the algae which is in the no symbiotic relation with the corals. Symbiotic means it is giving something to the corals and corals is giving something to it. What it is giving to the corals? Algae does produce food by you doing photosynthesis, so it gives nutrients and food to the corals. And what does the coral gives these algae? Corals give these algae a home to stay, protection basically. So this symbiotic relation is there between zooxanthellae and the coral polyps, and this is what makes the corals. And you know the vibrant color of the corals is due to that algae which gives the corals the colors. The algae lives inside the coral polyps and provide energy to the corals through photosynthesis. In return, corals provide algae with nutrients and a shelter. Coral reefs, over time, corals accumulate their calcium carbonate skeletons, forming large complex structures known as coral reefs. Now, importance of corals. Corals are critical for marine life. Corals create coral reefs, which are home to many sea creatures. So, many sea creatures come, depend upon it, they feed upon it as well. Threatened by climate change, corals are at risk because of warmer ocean temperatures caused by climate change. This can lead to coral bleaching and large scale deaths of coral. So, what is coral bleaching? We'll be dealing with in the next slide. But yes, coral, climate change or global warming leads to coral bleaching, and that is why they are vulnerable to it. However, this specific coral colony seems to have been protected likely because it lives deeper in at deeper depths where water is cooler. This current coral colony, which has been discovered by the National Geographic team, it is talking about. Resilience and protection. The survival of this coral is significant because it has managed to avoid many of the worst effects of warming waters, possibly due to its location in deeper waters, which help shield the from extreme temperatures. Now, what is coral bleaching? We need to understand. So, first of all, corals, they are found in the shallow waters. If they are too shallow, then they can be impacted due to global warming because the warmer temperatures of the oceanic waters are at the top level only, or the top surface only. As you move deep, the temperatures reduce, and if their corals are present, then they will be resilient to such kind of impacts. But yes, corals found in the shallow waters, they are basically in a symbiotic relationship. The coral polyps are in a symbiotic relationship with the zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae is the algae which gives corals the colors, which gives corals the nutrient it produces through doing photosynthesis. Coral polyps in return give shelter and also provide certain nutrients to the zooxanthellae for doing photosynthesis. Now, coral bleaching is a situation in which this symbiotic relationship is broken. This symbiotic relationship is broken. Why? Because this zooxanthellae starts leaving the corals. And when this zooxanthellae starts leaving the corals, the color which the corals was having was due to zooxanthellae only. So that color fades away and it turns pale yellow, white, like this. That is called as coral bleaching. So this is basically healthy coral. Coral and algae depend on each other to survive. So these dots which you are seeing, the green, dark green dots, these are the algae which is giving this coral a color. Stressed coral, if stressed, algae leaves the coral. Stress will happen due to pollution if the marine water is polluted, if the marine water's temperatures are high. Okay. So and if ocean acidity is also high, then also a stressed condition is there and the algae starts leaving the coral. And finally, it leads to this situation where the algae completely leaves the coral and it becomes pale yellow or white. This is a bleached coral. This is called as coral bleaching. So this happens, and this is quite common happening among the corals nowadays due to global warming or climate change. Now, the key details of this particular coral colony, which is to be discussed. Size and structure: coral is about 112 feet to by 105 feet in size. It lies 42 feet underwater and rises to about 16 feet from the ocean floor. It is believed to be around 300 years old, though it could be even older. This discovery happened just one day before the team planned to move to a new area for their research. So, if God has planned something, it will happen. And this discovery happened just one day before the team planned to move to another destination. A videographer working on the documenting the effects of climate change found the coral by accident over there. Geography and location: the Solomon Island is basically an archipelago located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, consists of nearly 1,000 islands, and of these 1,000 islands, only 147 are inhabited, means people live over here. The islands are spread over an area of 4,61,000 square kilometers, with 28,446 square kilometers being land mass. Nearest neighboring countries: Vanuatu to the southeast, Papua New Guinea to the west. So, this is basically the location and geography of this particular island. And one more thing, that it is very much near to the Great Barrier Reef. Great Barrier Reef is this, which is the world's largest coral, I would say, uh, reef in the world. A stretch is there. This is the world's largest coral colony which has been found. Colony is basically located at one place. Coral reef is basically an entire city. Like if you want to equate, you can equate it in such a way that colony are there in cities or towns. And so this Great Barrier Reef is a city, a mega city of the corals. And this, which has been found in the Solomon Islands, nearby Solomon Islands, is a colony, which is the world's largest colony it is. Now, next is the MATES scheme. The MATES scheme is there between India and Australia. The full form of this is Mobility Arrangement for Talented Early Professional Scheme. Okay. And in English, if we see the meaning of this word mates, it is friends. So India and Australia are undertaking this scheme, which will facilitate mobility of Indian nationals to Australia. Mates is a scheme for Indian university graduates and early career professionals, allowing them to live and work in Australia for up to 2 years. It was created under the Migration and Mobility Partnership Arrangement (MMPA), which was signed between Australia and India on May 23, 2023. So last year, this Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement was signed, and under that agreement, this scheme, MATE scheme, has been envisaged. It aims to encourage two-way migration and mobility between the two countries. So it is not only Indians going in Australia and working, two-way migration. If any Australian wants to come and work here in India, can also come, but that will be very less likely. More, I would say, we would see migration from India to Australia. Mates, this MMPA is for that. Mates is for India to Australia. So let us, I'll again repeat it. This MMPA, that is the agreement, that is Migration and Mobility Partnership Arrangement, which was signed in 2023. It is a two-way arrangement. Means if Australians wants to come to India and work, or if Indians want to come to us, go to Australia and work, they can go. But this particular MATE scheme is only for Indians going to Australia for working. The mates will begin in December 2024 and will be available to professionals from India. Who can apply for mates visa? To be eligible for mates scheme, applicants must meet the following conditions. Age must be 30 years or younger at the time of applying. Education must have graduated within the last 2 years from a recognized Indian university. That is why early employment for it is called as. Language skills: must have proficient English skills with a minimum IELTS score of 6. There's this exam called as IELTS, and there are bands which has to be there. So minimum score of 6 overall, and at least 5 in each module. So there are multiple modules: reading, listening, speaking, and all. So it is like this. University eligibility: graduates from top 100 universities in India, according to the National Institute of Ranking Framework (NIRF) 2024, are eligible. In Punjab, eligible universities include Punjab University, Chandigarh University, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, and Lovely Professional University. So it is basically from Punjab that the maximum out migration happens. But yes, other parts of the world, other parts of the country also, there is a lot of migration happening to Australia. Now, eligible degrees must hold a bachelor's degree or higher in any of the following fields: renewable energy, mining, engineering, information and communications technology, ICT, artificial intelligence, fintech, that is financial technology, and agri-tech, that is agricultural technology. Do you need an Australian employer sponsorship? No, applicants do not need an employer sponsorship to apply for mate's visa. The scheme is designed to allow young professionals to find work in independently. So it is like this. Advantages of mates: work and live in Australia for 2 years, although, but yes, you have that experience, that exposure. No strict work requirement. While the visa is intended to support professionals in the field of study, there is no strict requirement to work only in the nominated field. They can be working in any field wherever the requirement is. Develop skills and network. The scheme is aimed at helping young professionals expand their skills and professional network, especially in sectors like renewable energy, AI, fintech, and agri-tech. Pilot program. The scheme will start as a pilot program with 3,000 places per year for primary applicants, and dependents also can join this. Participants can bring their dependents, spouses, and children. Dependents will have the right to work in Australia, and their numbers will not count towards the yearly cap. So, let's suppose you bring your wife along and you are working, and your wife is also working. She has also got a job. 1 year you've worked, one year your wife has worked. So, it will not count. Ki, acha, 2 years so you've collectively worked. So you can go back after, you should be going back after 1 year. No, 2 years you, 2 years your wife will be allowed under this mate scheme. This is an advantage of mates. The duration of stay: visa holders must make their first entry to Australia within 12 months of receiving the visa. So if you've received visa, within the 12 months you have to make entry. Once in Australia, they can stay for up to 24 months, that is 2 years from their first entry date. The visa allows for multiple entries, meaning they can leave and return to Australia during the 2 year period. If eligible, participants can apply for an extension or a different visa for a temporary or permanent residency after their 2 years. How will the visa be granted? Visa will be granted through ballot system. This means that applicants will be randomly selected to apply for the visa. There is a 25 Australian dollar application fees for the ballot. Once selected, candidates will proceed with the visa application process. So this is basically what it is. And the last topic is Swastik Initiative. Now we've been taking Dadi Ma ke nuske, Nani ke nuske a lot since childhood, and this is quite popular among Indians. Now that is called as traditional knowledge, which has passed from generation to generation. That traditional knowledge can be having medicinal characteristics. That traditional knowledge can be having nutritional characteristics. Means it can be beneficial for your nutritional intake. It can be beneficial for your, I would say, curing some diseases and all. Like for example, if you for example contracted dengue, so they will say that the leaf of papaya that has to be taken. The juice of the leaf of papaya, if it is taken, then the blood platelets rise. The milk of goat, blood platelets rise. These are some, I would say, traditional knowledge elements. And now these traditional knowledge elements will be scientifically proven. There will be some scientific, I would say, research done on these things. What kind of elements are there? Like, let's suppose leaves of papaya. What kind of elements are there in the leaves of papaya that can actually have a positive impact on the rise in number of platelets? Will it, does it have or does it not have? That will also be proven. And this is what is going to happen in this Swastik initiative. Swastik basically stands for Scientifically Validated Traditional Knowledge Initiative. It was highlighted by CSIR, National Institute for Science Communication and Policy Research, at the International Conference on Communication and Dissemination of Traditional Knowledge. Now, this traditional knowledge obviously is very rich, very huge, very vast in India. And if it is proven, then we can be filing patents for such kind of traditional knowledge. We can be propagating it to the world, because there's a lot of richness in this over here in India. So I would say that this is a very noble step. The initiative is aimed at preserving, validating, and promoting India's rich heritage and traditional knowledge through scientific methods. The key details: objectives of Swastik: First is scientific validation of tradition. We have to do this, and we have to verify Indian traditional knowledge practices, ensuring that they are not only preserved but also understood in a modern scientific context. And if they are proven to be so, means with positive characteristics and all, obviously their demand will increase, their consumption will increase. Promote scientific temperament. By encouraging scientific verification of traditional practices, the initiative aims to cultivate a rational and scientific mindset in general public. Boost public faith in that. Obviously, that is why their consumption will increase. Preserve and perpetuate traditional practices. So this will obviously preserve these kind of practices and will promote these kind of practices if it is done, and that is a very good thing. Like for example, many traditional communities like tribal communities and all are dependent upon these things, and when they are dependent upon these things, their incomes can rise, their lives can be impacted in a positive way. Then collaboration and participation. Various research organizations, higher educational institutions and experts and NGOs are collaborating for this. These stakeholders help in compiling, validating and disseminating traditional knowledge. Then dissemination of knowledge. It uses modern communication tools such as social media to reach a broader audience. It has already published content in 17 Indian languages to ensure accessibility across diverse linguistic groups. Swastik publications. Two key publications have been released which provide scientifically validated stories related to traditional knowledge, and these publications aims to inspire young students to explore science and connect it with their heritage. So this was the Swastik Initiative. I think it is quite understandable, but yes, it is important. It is important in a traditionally rich country like India to give it a modern touch. That is what it aims at. But yes, who is undertaking it? It is CSIR. So let us know the basics about CSIR as well. So it is India's leading research and development organization. It is a publicly funded organization, means government funds it, dedicated to the advancement of natural sciences and engineering with the goal of applying this knowledge for the benefit of the society. That is the main aim of this particular organization. The organizational structure: the president of CSIR is the Prime Minister of India ex officio. Vice President is the Union Minister of Science and Technology ex officio. Governing body: it is headed by Director General, which other ex officio members, including the Finance Secretary, are also part of this governing body. Presence: CSIR operates through a vast network of 37 national laboratories, 39 outreach centers, one innovation complex, and 3 units spread across India. Headquarters is in New Delhi. It plays a key role in India's scientific and technological advancements. What is traditional medicine? Traditional medicine refers to a wide range of health practices, knowledge, and beliefs that use plant-based, animal-based, and mineral-based treatments. So I gave you this example of dengue when platelets are falling. Two examples I gave you. One is, the leaves of papaya, you know, that is plant-based remedy for increasing platelets. Second is bakri ka doodh or goat's milk, they say. That is animal-based remedy. That is basically dairy. So as of now, there is no scientific basis for these two things, but yes, the Swastik Initiative can give scientific basis for these two things. And if it is done, then obviously, you know, there will be increased public faith on these things. There can be some supplements created, including all these the ingredients of these two, I would say, elements. So that is what can be done. These practices can be used either individually or in combination to treat or prevent illnesses as well as maintain well-being. Traditional medicine often includes practices passed down through the generations and is deeply rooted in cultural and spiritual contexts. So tradition actually is something which is passed from one generation to the other generation. Now, the MCQs based on these three topics. First is consider the following statements and mark the correct one. The Solomon Islands are located south of equator. Second, it is west of Vanuatu and east of Papua New Guinea. You have to, it is not that easy, but yes, you have to visualize, you have to see the map which was there, and then you can get to the correct answer. Consider the following statements and mark how many of the following can be the reasons for coral bleaching. So apply common sense over here. This is also not going to be easy, not directly there in the topics. Low tides, global warming, marine pollution, including oil spills. Which of these are there? Which of these options means how many of these options are reasons for coral bleaching? Only one, only two, all of the above, or none of the above. Third, consider the following statements with respect to mates scheme and mark the correct one. The scheme is between India and Australia only. It aims to provide temporary employment to young professionals from India. Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Fourth, recently launched Swastik Initiative is related to which of the following? Scientific assessment of Ayurveda, scientific validation of Siddha, scientific validation of traditional knowledge, or D, none of the above. It is very simple. Fifth, consider the following statements about CSIR and mark the correct one. The Union Minister of Science is the ex officio president of CSIR. Second, it is headquartered in New Delhi. Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Now the MCQs, answers to the MCQs of Saturday. First is, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. For FY24, Russia is India's largest supplier of oil and defense equipments. Yes, for FY23 also it was the situation. FY24 also it is the situation. India-Russia trade is balanced. No, it is heavily in favor of Russia. Means Russia's exports to India are way more than India's exports to Russia. Like the total trade between India and Russia is $65 billion, out of which $61 billion is the Russian exports to India, and only somewhere around $4 to $4.5 billion is India's exports to Russia. So this statement is wrong. It is not balanced. Only one is going to be the correct answer. Which of the following route is the shortest from Mumbai to St. Petersburg? So Mumbai basically over here, St. Petersburg over here in Russia. So one route is basically through the Red Sea and through the Mediterranean Ocean, and then we reach over here like this. Mumbai, Suez Canal, Mediterranean Sea, North Sea, Baltic Sea, St. Petersburg. So Mediterranean Ocean, North Sea, Baltic Sea, and then you reach St. Petersburg. Then next is Mumbai, Bandar Abbas, Baku, St. Petersburg. Mumbai, Bandar Abbas, it is in Iran. Baku, Azerbaijan, then St. Petersburg. This is basically INSTC, which is actually the right answer. Mumbai, Vladivostok, St. Petersburg. So Mumbai, Vladivostok, St. Petersburg is going to be very long. Vladivostok is there on the eastern coast. This is going to be very long. This is option C. This is option A. This is option B. And Mumbai, Cape of Good Hope, North Sea, Baltic Sea, St. Petersburg. Mumbai, Cape of Good Hope is south of African continent. Then you go like this, and then you come here, and then this is option D. This is probably the longest. So option B is going to be the right answer. That is Mumbai, Bandar Abbas, Baku, St. Petersburg. Three, which of these countries is not part of Eurasian Economic Union? So Eurasian Economic Union has the following countries, that is Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Russia. Russia is there, Armenia is there, Belarus is there, Azerbaijan is going to be the correct answer. It is not part of Eurasian Economic Union. Fourth, consider the following statements with respect to Janjatiya Gaurav Divas and mark the correct one. First, it is celebrated every year on 15th November since 2022. It is celebrated every year on 15th November since 2021. This is the correct year. So this statement is wrong. It was introduced to recognize the significant contribution of tribal freedom fighters. Yes, against the Britishers. So only two is going to be the correct answer for this particular question. And fifth, consider the following statements with respect to Birsa Munda. Was born in Chota Nagpur Plateau in 1875. Yes, 15th of November. That is his birth anniversary, where this is observed. He established the Birsite sect against the oppression of Zamindars. No, not against the oppression of Zamindars, but for fighting with the Britishers and their oppressive policies. So directly it was not against Zamindar, it was against the Britishers. So this statement is wrong. So only one, that is A, is going to be the correct answer for this question. Now with this, we've come to an end of today's session, and I will be seeing you tomorrow now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising, keep watching the videos, keep attempting the questions, and you'll be near to success. Namaste, Jai Hind.